How's it going, everybody? Logan Turner here. Thank you for checking in again. And today, as things slowly start to get worse and worse in society, I'm going to be presenting you a small ray of hope in the form of an affordable 35mm manual camera. I had recently acquired a Minolta SRT 101 for my film collection. I was kind of looking for a more reliable 35mm camera apart from my Canon AE1, trying to find a cheap alternative for that camera, but also something that was very durable as well. And in my research, I came across this Minolta SRT 101. I don't think these cameras are really that big of a secret. Why this camera isn't more popular is beyond me. I'm going to be talking a bit about it in this video because I actually had a chance to test this camera out on a work trip that I took down to North Carolina recently. So the night before, I was able to get all my photography gear together. If you don't know, I actually work with a lot of digital stuff for my actual job, so I had to get all that together, plus my film stuff for my personal use, all up in my Ruka camera bag. That thing is a freaking tank, and I look like a walking turtle when I use it. I also brought along my Canon camcorder to kind of catch more candid moments as well. Before I left, I did a quick fit check, said goodbye to the kids and told them I'd be back in 10 minutes before being gone 2 days. Drove the Ford F-150 up to the Dayton airport and waited patiently for us to board. While in the airport, I was able to snag a couple of shots, but a lot of them ended up being underexposed due to the lighting of the airport. Nonetheless, I was able to grab one shot that I like, and that is this shot here. I really like the silhouette of the person waiting to board in juxtaposition of the plane in the background of the window. I think it turned out quite nice, if I don't say so myself. Something about this camera that I really like is just its sturdiness overall. This thing feels like a brick in my hand, and I kind of dig that about this camera. I don't like cameras that feel flimsy or cheap that they can break at any second, and this thing really doesn't feel that way. It feels like it was made to last for a long time. Some of the cool features about this camera is that it has a TTL light meter in the viewfinder here, and it's very easy to use. So the way the light meter looks is there's essentially a circle that will read the light, and the goal is to put the little hash mark inside the light meter inside of that circle, and that's how you know that you are exposed properly with what is being picked up through the TTL metering system in this camera. So after waiting patiently at the airport, it was finally time for us to board for the quick 45-minute flight down to Charlotte. Yeah, I really like how this picture turned out. Granted, every film photographer has this picture, but I don't know. I think that this little light leak on the side really kind of adds to it. So once we touched down, we immediately headed to the hotel after navigating the Charlotte airport. As soon as we got to the hotel, I was able to fire some shots around the hotel and of my hotel room as well. And what's also amazing are these RAW lenses that you can get with the Minolta system. I believe that these are very underrated lenses in terms of, when you think of popular lenses and which ones produce the best image quality. I think that these RAW lenses are very underutilized and very underrated when it comes to sharpness, to focusing. I just feel like they're very reliable, especially this one that I got on here. This is the 58mm f1.4. Very awesome lens. Nothing really to complain about on that end. Very easy focus ring, nice and smooth. And yeah, overall just great quality. So for some of these shots, I actually used some of the lower apertures like 1.4 and 2.8. And I actually think a lot of these turned out really well. There might be a little bit of softness to these images, but I don't necessarily mind it entirely. I think these images still turned out great for the situation that I was taking these photos in. Good lighting. Just landed here in Charlotte. Not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of my evening. Work stuff doesn't start till tomorrow. And I don't want to sit in here all evening. So I might take an Uber to downtown here in a little bit. We'll see. I don't know. Catch me later. I knew that my time in Charlotte was limited, so I immediately made sure to take my Minolta out and start taking photos as I walked around the city. Like I said, I kind of stopped in and grabbed a quick coffee and just kind of chilled for the rest of the evening, just taking more shots around the city and of some of the people going about their day. I really like this shot here of the bike, of the dude riding his bike past me. I believe this caught really good motion and the camera performed really well doing that. So after I gallivanted about Charlotte, it was time to meet up with my work team for some lunch. We went to this kind of hole-in-the-wall Mexican place where I popped off some interiors and some shots from around the restaurant. I believe a lot of these turned out well. This boost shot here I shot at 1.4, and yeah, it's a little bit underexposed, but I don't mind it entirely, especially considering that I don't think I stopped down my shutter speed as much as I probably could have because I wanted to avoid camera shake, but that's just something to note in the future. I don't think it had anything to do with the actual lens itself. It's just total incompetency on my part. What's also nice about this camera is that even though it has a meter in the camera, and that meter requires a battery, you can actually buy these batteries for pretty cheap. I believe there's some form of circle watch battery or something like that. And I was able to pick some off of eBay, and they work just as well as the batteries that this camera originally took, it seems like. What's great is that if there isn't a battery in this, you could still fully operate this camera because every function in this camera is mechanical. So no battery, no problem. So after dinner together, we decided to head back to the hotel and kind of chill for the rest of the night because we had to be up early the next morning to do our actual jobs, unfortunately. And the next day, woke up happy as ever, where I got some of the most flaccid pancakes made to me by a robot machine. So if you're ready for the robot takeover, it's already here, folks. So quick storyline aside from the photography stuff. That day, we actually got stuck at our place of work until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. Our shuttle that came to pick us up to drive us from our place of work to our hotel was a couple of hours late. So after we sat outside the building for 4 hours, we finally made it back. I was just way too tired to go out around town and shoot some more. But what I did do is I woke up early the next morning to walk around the hotel and kind of take pictures of the pool area and the outside dining area as well, just to try to get more test shots with this camera. Unfortunately, some of these photos that you'll see here have some of these weird blue lines going through it. I don't know if that's a result of my film going through X-ray, if there was leaks in the camera, or if there was something wrong with the scanning process here. So if you have any idea what these are, please let me know. Some of the other features in this camera that you'll notice is that it actually has a depth of field preview button right here. And it also has a self-timer button here as well. Now, something I had noticed with these cameras is that a lot of these self-timers on these will get stuck, and that will completely clog up the shutter, so you won't be able to take a photo. So if you were planning on buying one of these cameras, I would ensure that the self-timer feature right here is actually pointed directly upwards and not off to the side or something like that. That is a big indication that the self-timer is stuck. So if it is pointing upwards, it should be good to go. All right, made it back to the hotel. Didn't take till 7 o'clock this time. Right now I'm getting ready to go out for my final night here in Charlotte. I'm gonna take the Minolta with me. Think we're going to a cigar bar is the plan. There is a dress code involved. I hope that this works. And if not, I'll just go somewhere else. I will see you guys downtown here in a minute. So the next morning, it was time to pack up and head to the Charlotte airport to catch our flight back home to Dayton, Ohio. After getting through security and after walking through the miles and miles of hallways that are at the Charlotte airport, I decided to take a few more photos before we boarded. One photo that I'm kind of bummed about is this picture here of the guy sitting in front of this Charlotte airport sign. I think with this meter being TTL, it's always either compensating for this backlit situation here or the subject. It doesn't seem to be really metering for either or. So if you get this camera, just remember that if you have a subject matter in mind, maybe primarily exposed for them as opposed to the lighting in the background itself. So what else is there to say about the Minolta SRT 101? Overall, very solid, hefty camera. I feel like it's going to be really hard to break this thing. Very easy to expose and a really rudimentary light meter that's good for people of all ages. You can find copies of this camera for around $100 to $200. I believe I got my copy for around $120 and I don't regret a single thing about it. Overall, very great camera, no complaints, and I will definitely be using this in the future going forward. That's it for me today, guys. I hope that this affordable 35mm camera sort of brightens your day while we just slowly creep towards the end here. If you have any suggestions on good starter 35mm cameras, please leave those suggestions for people in the comments down below, and be sure you like and subscribe so we can keep making videos about film photography and just having a blast. I appreciate you guys. I will see you later. Peace out.